Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 9 of my vlog, KidLit Corner. It's been a little while since I have made a episode and been here to share some new books and my reviews and thoughts on them. So after a bit of a long break, I decided to sort of dip my toe back in my vlog world um, with a special episode theme called Birthday Books. It was my birthday about a month ago, and I was really fortunate to receive many books as gifts, and I also treated myself to buying some books on that day. So I just picked some of them and thought I'd show you what they are, if I've read them, my thoughts on them, and some that I haven't got around to reading yet, but that I'm excited about. I am cheating a little bit because they're not all actually children's books. Some of them are biography and adult nonfiction, but they each have a link to children's literature in one way, so I figure that's fair enough. So the first one I want to show you is a picture book. It's a wordless picture book called The Tree in the River by Aaron Bicker. He's a UK illustrator and writer, and right after I bought this book, he won the Caldecott Honour, which is a very prestigious UK children's book award. The book is really beautiful. It's completely wordless. It's very much a English Jeannie Baker, because Aaron Becker has written, well, illustrated and created several books like this with a focus on environment, nature, and often wordless stories. It's about a tree and a river from long, long ago, and each spread follows the same tree and the same river as it progresses through civilization beginning, through war, through people coming and going, and ends up showing how, despite buildings and people and human nature always being flexible and moving in and out of time, and nature is always there, is the message at the end, and it's beautifully, beautifully illustrated. And it's one that has a lot of emotion in the artwork, which I'm not an illustrator, but I imagine that's tricky to achieve. And I think Aaron Becker succeeds with The Tree and the River. My partner took me to a bookshop on my birthday and gave me a shopping spree. I had 3 minutes to grab books that I really wanted, and he would buy them for me. I was instantly stressed. It was very stressful because it was such a big ask, but I managed to grab a few books I really liked and was really pleased to have. The first was The Little Books of the Little Brontes. It's a picture book biography of the Bronte children, uh, as they were kids and as they wrote stories. So Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, of course. Um, it's a really lovely fictional, semi-fictionalized take on the Brontes' childhood in England and where the inspiration for their stories came from. Takes a look at their family and their creative ways and how their environment sort of shaped the books that the sisters went on to write as they grew up. And it's a really lovely illustrated book as well. So this is a one that I definitely would recommend. This is a book that was on my birthday wish list that my partner bought me. The Star by Felicity Marshall. It's an older book from, I think, about 2007, published by the really incredible company Ford Street Publishing. It's such an unusual picture book, and I am really taken with books that are different and that are unique. First of all, it's quite text heavy. There's a lot of text to it, and it seems almost a picture book for teenagers, which is something different. So I always like that. And it's about a girl who is named Marion, and she wants fame and she wants success and fortune and everything. And it sort of takes a look at what being a star might really be like. And it has a very unpredictable story that ends up happening and an unpredictable ending. And I think Felicity Marshall, as writer and illustrator, did such a fantastic job because it's such a distinctive book. And it's one that has wonderful artwork in it, wonderful, subtle themes and messages that really strike at your emotional core. And the end papers are really, really beautiful. So that's The Star by Felicity Marshall. I believe it is out of print now, but you might have luck finding it online. This is a book that I loved when I was little, The Shopping Basket by John Birmingham. It's about a boy who is sent out to buy a grocery list of food items by his mother, but he runs into trouble on the way home. I always love the pictures of the packet of crisps and the two donuts and the three oranges and the four apples and so on and so on. And he runs into all sorts of monsters and creatures who try to steal his food bit by bit as he takes the basket of shopping home to his mother. And it's wonderfully funny and inventive and very, very British. And I love all British things and British humor and British storybooks like Shirley Hughes and John Birmingham and Alan Janet Alberg. So this is one that I loved when I was little, and for some reason I just never got around to buying a copy of it as I've grown. So really happy to have had received this for my birthday. This is a book that I have not had a chance to read yet, but I'm looking forward to it, called Haywire by Claire Saxby. And it's set during World War II. And I have amassed a sort of great amount of research papers and articles and books and DVDs and documentaries about World War II, specifically how it affected Queensland, because there's a real dream project of mine that I've begun writing that's sort of in the queue. And I want to read as much World War II references and literature, uh, primary and secondary sources as much as I can. So this is a book that I've always wanted to read, and always heard great things and read great reviews about it. So I haven't started it yet, but I'm adding it to my pile of World War II research books. If you have any other books that are set during World War II in Australia, or specifically in Queensland, let me know in the comments, because I'd love any more recommendations or suggestions if anyone has any. This is House of Dreams, The Life of L.M. Montgomery by Liz Rosenberg. It is a biography of L.M. Montgomery, who of course wrote the Anne of Green Gables series. It is a non-fiction biography, but it is written for young readers, like teenagers or children. So it's quite thick, and it's very informative and lots of text. So it's not babyish, but it's written specifically for young readers. So it reads like it's fiction. It reads like it's a story of a fictional character, but I have not got any biographies of L.M. Montgomery, and I really, really enjoy collecting biographies and memoirs of authors and writers of all kinds. So I was really pleased to find this at a bookshop on my birthday, and I treated myself to it. And I haven't finished reading it yet, but I'm really enjoying it so far. The Rebels of Mount Buffalo by Helen Edwards. Now, I know Helen from following her on her terrific social media pages, and she has a second book called Legend of the Lighthouse Moon, I think it's called, coming out in October this year, and I'm so excited for that one. It's very anticipated for me because I really love this book of hers. I read this last year or the beginning of this year, I think, but I read it as a library copy. And then, as it happens, you read a book and love it. And then I sort of remember down the track, I didn't actually buy it. So on my birthday, I decided to pick up a copy so I can actually own this and reread it anytime I like. I love historical fiction, and I love what Helen did with Guide Alice in this story. And I know many of you have read this book, I'm sure, but definitely pick it up if you haven't. This book is very fun. It's so sweet and very, very cute and imaginative. It's called Hotel Flamingo. It's written by Alex Millway, and I think it's a British book and British author, and it's about a small girl who checks into a hotel and then takes it over. and is the new owner and runs the hotel. And it's a panda and a bear and a giraffe and all sorts of animals. A menagerie of them are the ones who are the staff members of the hotel, and a flamingo too, of course. And it's just really light and fun and reminds me of an Ursula Dubosharsky book or Zana Frelon book. You know, it's really just sort of magical and perfect for any kid who has a big imagination and loves animals and is very creative, because it's the sort of book I loved reading when I was about 8 or 9 years old. That was really just sort of wacky and whimsical um and fantastical. So it might be the first in the series. I'd be keen to see if there was going to be a second book. But yeah, that's a really great one that I picked up. Just I'd never heard about it before. I just spotted it and it caught my attention on the bookshop shelf. So I decided I had to grab that one. And then one I have wanted to buy since it came out, and I just never got round to it, is The Cave by Victor Keller. It's his latest book. You know Victor Keller's books from the 70s and the 80s. You know, he is definitely a legend of Australian literature. And it's published by Eagle Books, an imprint of Christmas Press. And I love several of their books by Sophie Masson and The Secret Battle by Pamela Rushby, especially. I just want to give that book a plug because I do love that book. Um, and The Cave by Victor Keller is such a return after Wanderer from 2022. Um, and these books are a return for him after he had about a decade's break from writing, because he wrote sort of dystopian action adventure books in the 80s and 90s. And it's so terrific that he's come back to this format. So I haven't finished reading this book yet, but I have several of Victor Keller's old books on my shelf and really enjoying it. The last couple I have are the non-fiction adult books with a slight link to children's literature, as this is the KidLit vlog. One is a book called A Lively Oracle, a centennial celebration of P.L. Travers, the creator of Mary Poppins, edited by Ellen Dooley Draper and Jenny Korolek. So this book is a collection of essays, articles, interviews about P.L. Travers, the Australian author of Mary Poppins. It's written by editors, academics, colleagues, friends, publishers, critics, and it's all about different aspects of her life, and then some aspects about Mary Poppins, the writing of it, the Disneyfication of it when the Walt Disney film came out in 1964, and then her other writings that don't really get a look in that happened later in her life. Because although a lot of people didn't know P.L. Travers was even Australian, but if you've seen the movie Saving Mr. Banks, you'll know about that. But they also thought Mary Poppins was the only book she wrote. She actually wrote about 20 or 30, and a lot of them were very unusual and very weird books. And I've got several of them, and I have a great biography of Pamela Travers. And so I've always wanted this book, and it's just seemingly impossible to find. But my partner gave it to me, and I was really happy to have it because I just love P.L. Travers. I think she's such an enigma, and her creative and her writing process and how her mind works is just fascinating to read these collections of essays by people who knew her and who studied her work. There's also some excerpts from interviews directly with her in the book. The verse novel, Australia and New Zealand by Linda West. I've recently finished writing a verse novel manuscript, which was so difficult. And this book, which is a collection of interviews with verse novelists like Stephen Herrick and Lorraine Marwood, and lots and lots of people. Linda West herself is in it. I think Pip Harry, Catherine Bateson, Sally Murphy, Cheryl Clark, Sharon Kernot, John Jenkins. Like there's about 30 or 40 terrific Australian and New Zealander verse novelists, and they talk about their process in writing verse novels, and they talk about the craft of verse novel. And it's sort of a academic text, and the interviews are all really, really interesting and really engrossing and very inspiring if anyone's writing a verse novel or just loves to read verse novels to know a bit more about them. And then I received Plot and Structure by James Scott Bell, which I've read this at the library before, and it's one of my favorite writing how-to books on how to plot and make sure you've got good structure and a strong foundation for writing a story. It's very informative, it's very practical, and great solutions and great examples that really do help any writer who's looking for a bit of advice. And I have a whole bunch of writing how-to books that I regularly return to, and this is one of my top favorites. Well, those are some of my birthday books I received for my birthday last month, and I've got a lot of reading to do on them and some of the others that I haven't had time to talk about in this episode. But I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching my previous 8 episodes of KidLit Corner, and I hope that you will welcome me back and stay with me watching this new episode, and some more episodes will be coming soon. I do have a couple topics for upcoming episodes picked out, but I would like to know if maybe you have any suggestions for a theme that you'd want me to talk about, a topic about any kind of books you'd like me to discuss. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But until then, I am going to get back to some reading. Happy reading to you.